Good morning, America. This is part 4 of my inspirational video. I'm going to talk about several different issues going on in the world today. First of all, the unification of this country. We are totally set apart, and we have separation of powers, starting with the president, who's lied to this country in the past 8 years, promised change. That was his motto, change. Mr. Obama, if you hear me, you make no sense of what you're saying, and you have lied to this country over and over again. All you have done is created more debt and more debt and more wars. We don't need a war. We need a war of knowledge and self-interest, and create a positive change for this country. I'm sorry, not self-interest. Self-creativity, and be able to stand your ground for what you firmly believe in. Many great leaders in this country, going back to Martin Luther King in the 60s, when he wanted to stop segregation and unify the blacks and the whites. I believe he stood his ground and fought for the principle in which he believed in. Racial discrimination has been going on, and it's always going to be there. It's never going to stop. But I understand why blacks are so angry, because of the fact they were lynched and they were hosed down throughout history. They were treated like slaves in the cotton fields. I understand why they're so angry, but that doesn't constitute the right to correct it. It just makes it worse, because I believe, there's a lot of good black people, like every kind of race, Hispanic, Asian, whatever culture you are. But I believe we have a culture shock right now in America, and it is all messed up, and we have to unify, and we all have to be treated as human beings, not a race, because we're all human at the end of the day. Another fact that I want to talk about is, in different countries throughout the world, ruthless dictators have always arisen and promised one thing, but all they're doing is creating treason for the people and lying to them and creating false monopolies. The definition of treason, which I looked up, is the fact that, they lie to the people. They only have one form of government, and they just treat them as slaves and caged animals, not human beings. And if you don't believe in the government, they just throw you away like if you're a piece of trash. They give you 20, 30 years. And, in my country, Cuba, in the beginning, Fidel Castro would put him in a firing squad. He doesn't do that no more, because he no longer exists physically or mentally. But, I believe that is wrong and evil. It is a form of chivalry and bigotry. We must correct that in this country and throughout the world. What else can I tell you? Right now we have a president, a candidate for president trying to win the election. His name is Donald Rumsfeld Trump. But, I don't believe he's good for this country, because a lot of the things he's saying is not true and simply a lie. It's just a manipulation of the truth. For example, he's saying if you were born in this country and you're not a citizen, you should be thrown back to your country, and that all immigrants are bad. I'm an immigrant. I wasn't born in this country, and I'm good. I'm a humble human being, and I believe I can help a lot of people if given the opportunity to. I believe I would be a good role model and leader for this country if people just heard my opinion and outlook on life. All these politicians are liars. They're fake. They're hypocrites. They promise one thing and they do another. All they do is, make the rich richer and the poor poorer, and they're trying to eliminate the middle class, which works really hard. So at the end of the year they can pay their taxes. These politicians, all they do is raise taxes. Everything becomes more expensive. Gas prices rise and fall. It seems like we're starting to live in a monopoly, even though we're not. We're in America, supposedly supposed to be the greatest country in the world. But right now, we're crumbling. And if Mr. Donald Rumsfeld Trump becomes president, we're going to be even worse. His middle name is Rumsfeld. Do you see the middle name has rum in it? Maybe he was under the influence of alcohol when he's speaking, because he's totally irrelevant to the truth. What about all these terrorists that threaten the United States and do all these, crazy things, like the World Trade Center. I believe that was well planned, and we fell asleep. That was the worst terrorist attack in this country. Another thing I want to talk about is, there's a lot of employers out there that pull scams, because it happened to me. I applied for a job online, and they called me. I did the interview, and they fired me for the wrong reason, because they told me I wasn't doing the job to his liking. And I went to court. I took it to court, and a real man doesn't run away, and the person who hired me is a coward, because there's a lot of employers out there online that pull scams. And by the way, he owes me $17,000, and if he fled the country, wherever you are, I'm not gonna say your name, but you're a coward. So I'm an honest person. I'm not perfect, because I'm human, but we need to come together and abide by the creed of this country, which is the Bill of Rights, which says, "We, the people of the United States of America, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. We are a country for the people and by the people." We are not a country for the people anymore. Politicians are for themselves, and they just, egocentric and only think about themselves. It's just all false ideology. We're supposed to be in the greatest country in the world, and all we're doing is destroying the people day in and day out. But I believe I will be a positive role model and leader for this country, because I can create change. My plans are to go to Congress and fight for my rights for human rights. I'm a humanitarian, and I believe in equality for everybody, even though we're never going to be equal, because there's always going to be discrimination and hate. But we can eliminate it if somebody speaks up and stands for what they believe in. I don't know about you, but I couldn't live in a place where I'm constantly controlled and watched 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and made think only one way. There's only one party, and there's no freedom of speech or freedom of the press, and be able to write and express yourself in the manner that you so please. I'm a very expressive person, and I believe in self-expression and freedom of speech, but the First Amendment to the Constitution is not practiced anymore. People live in fear, and they don't stand for what they believe in. What else can I tell you, America? We are far from where we want to be, and it's like the domino effect. The last piece is the ones that wins the battle, and the last man standing is, the real hero, not a coward like all these politicians and dictators. To conclude, I would like to say, it's like a game of chess, checkmate. God bless America, and God bless the people. Thank you.